And I think the 76ers now look like a very stable team. And this speaks to what I was saying in a prior video that I made about Mikal Bridges going to the Knicks. I said the Knicks needed to get someone better or someone more than a glorified role player like Mikal Bridges, because what happens if the 76ers land someone like Jimmy Butler or Paul George, of which now they have? The talent disparity now is just like a chasm. And it's the same thing with the Celtics. The talent disparity between the Knicks and the Celtics is like the Grand Canyon. It's like a chasm between the Knicks and the 76ers. So to me, the upper echelon of the Eastern Conference are the 76ers and the Celtics, and then everybody else. So 76ers got that much better with this trade, because Paul George opens up for them a bunch of schemes that they couldn't do otherwise with Tobias Harris. In addition to that, it also opens up a type of scoring that the 76ers didn't have with Tobias Harris on account of Paul George being able to create his own shots. The only other players on the team that could really do that at will were Tyrese Maxey and Joel Embiid. And you can't have Joel Embiid do that consistently, constantly, all the time, because it wears him down. It's part of the reason why he's always getting hurt. Tyrese Maxey, not so much, because he's still a younger guy and he's a guard. Centers and big men tend to get hurt that much more often. And then there's the pairing of Paul George with a new head coach. Now, what I'm about to say, I don't want it to be a diss towards Tyronn Lue, but I think Nick Nurse is a better coach than Tyronn Lue. Because when I was watching the Clippers go up against the Mavericks in the playoffs this year, I noticed something. I noticed that the Clippers didn't have plays drawn up for Paul George or James Harden. The type of basketball they were playing was tit for tat. Paul George would come and he would have to create his own offense. James Harden would come and he would have to create his own offense. It was the same problem that the Clippers had prior to James Harden joining, prior to Russell Westbrook joining. They just couldn't find an offense. They couldn't find a way to get the ball moving and get other players involved to create easy shots. And I saw that a lot in the playoffs this year with Paul George and James Harden. I don't think that's the case with Nick Nurse. I think Nick Nurse is more of a schematic coach, and I think he's going to be able to utilize Paul George in ways that we haven't seen before. And then also, they have a playmaker like Kyle Lowry on a team. I really like that about the 76ers roster, because Kyle Lowry and Nick Nurse have been with each other for a very long time. Remember, they were in Toronto together, and they know each other very well. They know how to play to each other's strengths. But then you place Kyle Lowry as the general on the floor, an extension basically of Nick Nurse. And then there's the dimension of the pressure alleviated by the addition of a third star onto the 76ers. I think part of the reason why Joel Embiid was always getting hurt was because he had too much of a load to carry and too much pressure on him. The 76ers could only win if Joel Embiid played well. Joel Embiid played well, they could win. Yeah, they could win some games here and there against sub-500 teams if Joel Embiid wasn't playing. But in order to really compete with good teams, Joel Embiid had to have a good game. And the addition of a third star now, Joel Embiid, in my opinion, is able to kind of take a back step for 60-odd games throughout the season and know for a fact that Tyrese Maxey and Paul George and Kyle Lowry and Kelly Oubre, those guys are good enough to at least win a couple games without me. I think that takes off a load off of him and pressure off of him that's been hindering him for a long time now. To me, you have to kind of treat him like Anthony Davis. He can't play all 82 games of the season. It's just not the case, right? To me, you have to play him at least 60 games or however much it is in order for him to still be considered for awards and trophies. But then not too much to the point where his knees are going to give out or he's going to get injured, because he gets injured a lot. That's one thing about him. He's fragile. And I think someone who's dealt with someone like that and has managed it very well is, of course, Nick Nurse. Kawhi Leonard kind of had the same problem in Toronto. And I think Nick Nurse in Toronto was able to, that one season he had with Kawhi Leonard, he was able to manage it very well. He still had load management, but not too much of it, but not too much to the point where he wasn't ready for the playoffs. And I think that's the route that Nick Nurse and the 76ers need to take with Joel Embiid so that he's not getting hurt every year in the middle of the season. And I think the addition of Paul George allows for them to do that. But yeah, those are just my thoughts. And I want to know you guys' thoughts in the comments. Make sure to like this video and subscribe. And thank you for watching.